Hey everybody, this is Jeff Wilson, and thanks for stopping by the channel. Today's video is going to be how to become a faster runner, and we're specifically going to be digging into speed workouts and like actual speed workouts, not necessarily like a list of things, but just a couple examples and really the why behind it, as well as differentiating between what is actually designated as speed relative to my point today. So honestly, we're just going to dive right in. One thing I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to post videos and not really worry about the editing process. And my microphone's also dead. I'm ordering a new one, so this is not going to probably sound as crisp and wonderful as YouTube wants it to be, but that is not as important as posting. So there you go. So I've been coaching runners for about 15 years. Been running, gosh, I don't know, I probably have 35 to 40,000 miles in my life. And in the majority of my history, some of the most important things or important seasons, like where I've done really well, speed was always going well, and it was I was focusing on it very heavily. So it's something that I feel is not as foundational as it should be. Like for distance runners, base mileage has been a thing for decades, and obviously there's massively important benefits. I mean, if you're a beginner, please understand you shouldn't just be jumping right into speed workouts. But for people that are like intermediate or maybe even all the way up to advanced or just very seasoned, you've been running for a long time. I mean, I'm 30. I'll be 39 years old tomorrow. I even at this age, I'm not as fast as I used to be, especially in like the all-out sprint speed. But that doesn't mean that you stop training it. So I'll get to more of that in a little bit. But ultimately, I've noticed speed, like sprinting, especially, is something that people just think they can't do anymore. They're just too old. This and the other. It's crazy that people even past the age of like 25 think this. General people, like clients just that I have at personal training that just want to stay in shape, but even distance runners who are trying to perform, I don't care if you're doing the marathon, you need to have speed work be a part of your program, and not just speed work that's quote unquote speed work because it's faster than the race pace that you're aiming at. So if you're running a 3-hour marathon, your tempo runs are faster, right? Whereas even if you're training for like a 5K, or let's use a 10K for example, and you're trying to go run 50 minutes or an hour or something like that, and you go do kind of like VO2 max intervals or hill intervals, and your pace ends up being like, let's say 6:30 or 7-minute pace or something that's like pretty close to. It's not like insanely faster than what you're planning on racing or what you've already done, but it is a faster pace. And so like technically it falls under the realm of speed because it's like faster than what your goal race pace is. However, I think that word, it just kind of gets thrown around in the running world. And I think most people have done that more so. They've looked at that speed workouts that way more so than they should have. So one of the things I want to bring up with all that to be said is let's go through some of the different types of workouts. So when you think of I like to think of tempo runs and threshold runs as different. If you really research right now, there's a lot of big talk on LT1 and LT2. I'm not going to get into that. It's not the scope of this video. But simply put, I'm just going to focus on tempo runs and threshold runs. And tempo runs I look at as a little bit faster than threshold runs. Threshold runs, just look up anaerobic threshold if you haven't done that, or if you don't know what that is. And I think threshold workouts are, I mean, one they're massively popular right now. So if you're not doing them, you're not a runner, apparently. So no offense. And tempo runs, I think, are a little bit more of an intense, kind of shorter duration type stuff. Either way, you can do them in interval fashion, short rest. Down to even like 400-meter repeats, couple minute repeat, whatever that may look like for you, but with like 45 seconds rest or a minute rest, and you're really trying to work at the anaerobic threshold. Tempo runs, I think, are a little bit faster in my opinion. Not necessarily a huge difference in rest. Intervals can be done in many ways. I just explained one of them, but VO2 max type workouts, hill repeats, just picking 800s and doing 5 times 800 meter repeats. or 5-minute repeats or something like that. Intervals can be done in many different ways. We're not going to focus on that because just to kind of insinuated where speed kind of gets convoluted. Fartlek runs, if you haven't heard that phrase, look it up. But that's very similar. It's just basically speed play is the old definition to it. So don't get that misconstrued, nor is fartlek completely never speed training, but I would look up that definition just because we're not going to dig into what that type of workout is today. But now we're going to get to actual speed and go from the spectrum of all out like sprint speed, like that's one end of the spectrum, down to like just some simple stuff like 200-meter repeats. For some people that might be a minute or minute and a half, minute and 15 or something like that. So you don't have to do it like on a track or something, or specifically get so focused on 200 meters. But it's basically like I'm literally like digging way deeper into like we are going to run a 200-meter repeat, for example, and rest for like 90 seconds, 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes, so that even though it doesn't necessarily feel taxing, especially if you're not sprinting, it's more that you're physically having to recover heavily after, because you're taxing, you're pushing your body like neuromuscularly and mechanically in a way that you're not typically doing. But at the same time, it's really short. So it's not a long tempo run. It's not a 15-mile long run. And that's the kind of speed work we're talking about. And again, I'll say all the way to the end of the spectrum of sprinting. You don't have to literally do 100-meter like this is like you're racing, but think like 90-95%, somewhere in there, of max speed. I'd say closer to 95% relative to what I'm getting at today. It is just completely overlooked in a lot of people's trainings, or a lot of people's training program, which is just insane to me. When you actually train these things, your form gets better, your efficiency, your running economy, all those things improve. If you're a heel striker, you overstride, guarantee over time, if you consistently show up with speed work, that will eventually either go away completely, or you'll just have a more efficient stride. Therefore, you're not heel striking as much, or it's not putting on the brakes, really, maybe at all, but it's just maybe not putting on the brakes as much. Yes, I'm being very general here. You could have a past knee injury and other things, Achilles injury, something that really kind of messes with your gait. Take this with a grain of salt. Reach out to me if you need to as well. But some other ways to work on strength, on speed, is to strength train. So I know this is not what a lot of people like to talk about. If you kind of scour my YouTube channel here, you'll see I have a lot of strength training videos. With that said, strength training builds like all out like power, strength, and gives you an ability to do stuff like plyometrics, more quick, repetitive movements, stuff that can actually very much translate to running. And it doesn't mean that that's our only goal. Strength training will help spinal stability, hip stability. You can even help, train your calves to the point where then your Achilles is in a better position. It doesn't necessarily mean you don't ever get an Achilles injury, for example, or a foot injury or a knee injury, but it's giving yourself a better probability as well as a better foundation to do speed work. Both things go hand in hand. And for those that are just like trying to be fit and lose weight, this, that, and the other, work towards speed work, sprinting, strength training, plyometrics. I promise you'll be more cut than you would be otherwise. Just simply running. I'm not going to get into the cardio fat loss stuff, but just simply running is probably not going to be your route to success there. And happiness. Honestly, it's more fun to sprint. It's more fun to strength train and be in shape, be a little bit ripped per se. And another big point I want to mention, and I actually put this in an article. You can look at my totalbodyrunning.com site. You can look at how to become a faster runner, and I reference speed in the title and everything. But one of the things I want to really emphasize just generally is stop doing the same things forever. It bugs me that how many people want to be faster at their 5K, which is a pretty short race, I might add, and yet they don't do speed work. And it's like, they sit there and kind of like, a lot of people just kind of do the same thing, just run a lot, do maybe some hills here and there. They do their tempo runs and long runs, and they wonder why they feel flat. They wonder why they're not improving, why they plateau. And it's like, it's kind of mind numbing, to be honest with you. There's just been a lot of bad information about speed, a lot of people being very scared to do speed, especially as they age. And it's just ridiculous. I'm here to tell you, just move on from that, start working towards it. Start with some stuff like light jump roping, ladder drills, light box jumps. Even just hops in place, for the love of God. Do strides instead of sprints. You can look that one up. And just kind of slowly start working into this. Start doing short hill sprints. 8-10 seconds is literally all it takes. Do 4 of them at the end of a run. I promise you, over the next few months, you'll start to feel better and you'll like be seeking speed. Guarantee it. Challenge me on it if you want. I'm really just going to finish with what this does mentally to you. So, in my opinion, I mean, I kind of reference this, I guess, a little bit, but in my opinion, once you get to this point and you kind of feel the snowball going down the hill, you're just going to feel better. You're going to feel more strong. You're going to feel more excited to train and stuff. When you just simply run, there's like phases where you feel really good because running feels good and it's good for you. It's good for your cardiovascular system, your mental health, all the things. And of course, you can overtrain and all that stuff, and I'm not going to get into that, but speed is literally can be one of the like secret sauces to having just a happier, more like positive psychology towards your running, towards yourself, like how your body feels and looks. And I think that's a completely underrated element to doing speed work. And on bottom line, if you want to get faster, you got to get faster. So it doesn't mean you have to get your 100-meter dash time down, but depending on where you're at coming into this, that might actually help you. So just saying. Anyway, thank you for listening. More videos to come. I'm just going to start shoving them out. I don't even care if people don't like the editing. I'm also been really tired. This has been the most unhealthy year of my life. I'll probably share some of that stuff in the future, but I'm just going to start posting some of the stuff that I write in video form from like my blogs and just top of mind stuff. Sometimes I'll do shorts. So stay tuned. Hope you like it. Cheers.